going on?
Hello. Hey,
oh, and look who just showed up.
Hello. We are joined with Latter-day James, Ahmed, Cynics, and Marshall today, and we will be watching James go through some character design stuff.
I'm not designing anything today, but
okay. Disappointing.
But I will be doing stuff. I will be drawing.
You will be doing stuff. You will be drawing.
You want me to tell you what I'm doing? Is it that moment now?
I guess so. Here, I'll go to your screen.
Sure. That's my face.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm starting out with, I'm just going to do a couple of character poses. So if you were doing, working on an animated feature or something, you'd have your turnaround sheet. You might want to also give some poses for the characters, just so the animation team can see what the character looks like in movement. Then we're going to do a layout drawing where you place the character in a scene. I'm playing Death Stranding right now, so I just decided to go with that. And then if we get bold, we'll go to TV Paint and start doing some animation as well. So
cool. Sweet.
That's the plan for the day. I was going to start us off with a little bit of just talking about what's going on here in the process. But first, let's say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Hello, guys.
everybody.
Hello.
All right, let's start with Med, because I'm just going down the line. What's up, dude?
Oh, yeah. Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me. This is cool to be a part of this.
You're welcome.
Your animation stuff lately has been killer, man. I'm pretty jealous.
Thanks, man. It's fun. It's a cool process. And part of what I want to do today is like just talk about drawing like a slob and making a total mess.
Lovely. It's in TV Paint, correct?
Yeah, that's TV Paint.
Right on. I'm sure someone's going to ask every 10 seconds. So
yeah. And on that note, as far as brushes go, I'm in Clip Studio and I'm just using the pencil brush. So nothing crazy.
Right on. Yeah, cool. We can go next.
Cynics, what's up?
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to hang out with all these talented, amazing people. All of my favorite teachers assembled in one little spot.
I feel like.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
To James.
Yeah.
Give me some thought. What is this character design? What was going on here? With this?
Oh, he's from Death Stranding. I'm just playing the game for the first time, like a year and a half late. So
doesn't look like a Death Stranding character design.
He's kind of Death Stranding. I just kind of.
I want you to explain his like the way the pants and the whatever.
His crotch. You don't like his crotch?
I'm just curious. No, I'm wondering what the logic is with
maybe a bit of a camel shape.
The camel toe shape he's got there is just is actually the original outfit he wears in the game. But if you want me to change it to the looser pant, we can do that as well.
All right, art director time.
Usually, anytime you see like anatomy stuff on character design, or not anatomy stuff, clothing stuff on character designs, they tend to like follow forms very like around the forms and like kind of cut with the same lines of the body. And you have that like that butt part is just like cutting across like the planes of the gluteal planes, as I like to call
this one right here, that yellow stripe.
I was just curious because it's kind of in this middle ground of like, does it want to cover the butt or does it not want to cover the butt?
It doesn't know, and that's just poor design choices on my behalf.
No, maybe this is the next level of design choices.
Way to hijack the introductions.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
I was just curious if there was a thoughtful.
There was no thought behind it, but I appreciate the.
That's all I can think about.
Someone in the chat says, wow, it's like YouTube art Avengers in here. We just need Ross, Sykra, Steven Zapata.
We need all the crew.
And speaking of Avengers, I want to send it over to the world's mightiest Avenger, Marshall, on the other side of me. Marshall, how are you doing?
I don't think of myself as an Avenger, but thank you. I think that's probably a compliment.
It is.
Yeah.
What's going on, Marshall?
I'm supposed to talk, aren't I?
You are supposed to talk.
If you want, you don't have to.
Yeah. Actually, I have my coffee waiting for me.
Go get it.
And so, yeah, I'm going to go get it, and I'll be back in minutes.
Heck yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
See you guys soon.
Wait.
All right. So, yeah, I'm just starting out with some poses right now. design flaws aside, and Cynics, if you want to send in some designs for us to just sketch in different poses, feel free.
First of all, I didn't say it was a design flaw. I said it was peculiar, and that doesn't mean it's bad. Maybe this, like I said, there are no design flaws if the person's doing them on purpose. I guess.
No, I was just rushing and making poor design decisions.
No, you know what? I've come around. I like it. I think it's interesting.
By the way, for anyone listening to the stream, I'm going to be answering questions from proko.com/614.
Oh yeah, do you want to get some questions going?
Yeah. Oswalda asks, do you apply gesture to your drawings? If so, how do you do it?
Yeah, well, this is pretty much the way I go about it. I usually start pretty loose like this. Kind of similar to mannequinization that you have probably seen on the Proko channel. Except I kind of like add in some of the shape design in there. And yeah, I mean, I think about forms as well as I'm doing it. It's kind of just like all of it mashed into one. And if it was like a traditional sketch, I would probably lay this in with like a colored pencil or something.
Nice.
All right, now I've realized why I'm confused by it. Okay, can we go back
Yes.
to the butt for a moment? Because generally, the reason that a lot of clothing things follow these lines and forms of the body is for the movement purposes. So now what I'm wondering is if I saw this character running, what would their butt part be doing with the clothing? Like, what is the movement?
Damn, I don't know what it would be doing, man.
Well, I thought this was an animation stream. What the heck? Is this character for animation or not?
The character is for animation.
If I don't see the butt animated, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
God damn it.
How do you join the stream and immediately antagonize the artist?
This is not antagonist. I'm genuinely curious. I don't know why you think this is. I would love to see this butt.
We'll animate it, and you can see what I was thinking for the butt movement.
I'm not even joking. I would love to see it. I just want to see it now. I'm curious.
All right.
Like, what is it gonna look like?
You know what we can do?
Confirmed. He wants butt physics.
He wants butt physics. Damn, Rob.
Welcome to this professional live stream of artists.
I mean, these are the important questions that every designer needs to be asking themselves.
It is true. It is true. What are the butt physics?
No Spider-Man spoilers in chat, please.
I've not seen it either.
I saw it. It was good. Just don't spoil it.
It does seem good.
Not enough butts.
I'm sure there are meetings about butt physics in like animation studios. There has to be.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, certainly, if you submitted a design like this, I would be if I was the animation person, I would be like, I need to know how this is going to animate this butt. Because you're going to have to see someone run from behind at some point.
You're going to see it.
What is it going to do?
You could have delivered it with a bit more empathy is all I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is what it do, though.
It do? Go bird, dude.
There will be stretching. There will be... This is a looser pant underneath. I don't know why it was designed that way in the first place. That is similar to the original design. But...
Nice.
But I don't know. They had a tight jumpsuit on top. I made it a little bit tighter by accident. Maybe a little too tight.
Marshall Vandriff was back for a second, but no, he stepped away again. Let's see. Does one need a formal art education to get into freelance or concept?
I don't think so.
No.
The answer is no. There's no. I mean, if the question is phrased that way, the answer is just no.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that's still a question.
It is a very common question, it seems like.
Working on a meds map assignment as I watch this. Cheers, Andrew. Go ahead, Rob. What?
No, I was saying, there always seems to be a level of disbelief anytime you
seems like
answer that question for it to get asked so often. People are like, Like you say that, but like, come on, we all know you secretly went to school.
Yeah.
Rob,
Um,
I freaking love you, dude. Just the way you
I
talk.
remember when we spent a week with Drew Struzan in 1985, and there were so many questions that seemed that they were fishing for the secret, as if there was one secret that would, okay, finally, I got this one thing that solves everything for me. Drew pointed that out. You're looking for a secret that just everything clicks in. And I think that is that kind of question, is that I want an art career. Therefore, what is the one thing I need to do?
Mhm.
Get a formal art education. Well, that question, what does that mean, a formal art education? In one way, you could say, sure, you've got to have an education in some formal things, some things like drawing and painting and ability to manage your elements. But I think that's why it is so commonly asked, is that a student is coming in unsure of this arena and wanting the experts to say, let us make you sure of this arena. These three things, these 4 years, this will do it, which is, of course, if you examine it, falls apart.
Yeah, especially for the part about the freelance. It's like, and that's, by the way, that's a great way to kind of envision it as an arena, and these kind of like, conditioned gladiators are there saying, yeah, this is how it works. I suppose like freelance, you don't. However, I think Eliza brought this up on her Instagram. If you're outside of a country that you want to work in, then yes, I think there might be issues regarding having a formal degree or a stamp of approval from some institute to help you get in. So there is that caveat.
I think that's pretty minor, though. Generally, like, because if you build up, an audience online, like, people just reach out to you.
Yeah.
I don't even think you need to get that formal education.
Yeah. Well, it seems like, Ahmed, you're the only person in the stream so far that has a degree in art, right?
Oh, really?
I think that's true.
Yeah, I think so. I know.
Well, the only reason I could have kind of left halfway through, but the only reason I stuck around was because I had substantial scholarship that was paying for the education. I was like, might as well finish.
Right.
And yeah.
But it wasn't a thing that made or break.
No.
Made your
No,
career.
I was already in before even graduating.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the
I
next
think
one?
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. This is a question that comes up so often.
Yeah.
That it ends up being repetitive ansers.
Yeah. Right.
But this is James' show, right? This is James. James is the one.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's all good.
Animation.
You guys do your thing. I'm just I'm just cruising.
Hanging out.
You mentioned Drew Struzan. Did you by chance see the documentary called 24 by 36 about movie poster design?
24 by 36. I don't think I did see. I saw the documentary on Drew and Dylan and their career. Is this a recent documentary?
Yeah. It's really interesting to see how there's a lot of art collectors who collect these original poster prints and just going behind the scenes. And Drew's in that documentary as well. But wow, there's a whole world behind just movie posters.
Hey, I wonder whether I ought to go down to my garage and see if I've got one of my. I've got one of those great big movie posters. The ones that were like in
the multi-print ones.
Go. I want to see if I've got it.
Nice.
Do it.
Okay,
Cool.
Is Marshall off to his garage right now?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Marshall's garage.
That should be a show.
Yeah. That sounds like it.
No longer the Draftsman podcast, just Marshall's
It's
garage.
just now Marshall's garage.
Just me, guys. Yeah. Christian, we never really get a full introduction from you. You're just like, hey, okay, guys, here's James. Here's Rod. Tell us, how are you, man?
Good. Well, I feel like I'm the least qualified for teaching. People are not here for me. They're here for you guys. So. But I'm doing well. The Sketchy Van podcast is doing fine.
Great. Great.
I love that. I love the podcasts.
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm back in California.
Mm-hmm.
I guess just living my life again normally. So not sleeping in parking lots every night.
Yeah, there you go.
Upgrade. yeah, doing well.
Right on. Happy to hear it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys in chat and are watching this whenever, if you're not following the Sketchy Van podcast on YouTube, it is a pro follow for every artist person. I promise you, I enjoy watching all of your interviews with all the people.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
A lot of fun.
Appreciate it.
Hey, James. Sorry.
What's up, dude?
Oh, no.
Go ahead, Christian.
I know. Go ahead, man.
I was just going to ask a question about the animation.
Sure.
So you're doing, I guess, a clean pass. Do you already have in betweens or whatever? I don't know anything about animation.
So right now I'm not animating. I'm just like drawing poses.
Okay.
Cool. But finish your question. Sorry, I cut you off.
So I guess you're gonna kind of take these snapshot poses and take ones you like, and then create animations extrapolated from them.
Yeah. So I'll probably do a clean pass of the running animation.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So we can do that. The goal was to do a couple poses of the character, stick it in one of these layout shots, one that I didn't do off stream, and then head over to the animation.
Great. That's fun. Okay.
At this stage, is this what you would normally use for line work for a finished animation?
Yeah. I mean, normally if I was going to do, like if I was going to submit a design, I'd probably do another pass. So like, I'll do colored pencils just to sort of lay out the pose, just to get an idea of what's going on. I'll do a second pencil pass just to like get some of the design work down and the shapes. And then if I'm really like persnickety about it, I'll clean it up and make like I'll do a third sort of inking pass on it. But right now, just for this, I'm probably going to leave it around this because this is the drawing on the left is just a second pass. And I think it looks clean enough for the sake of the stream. The butt physics is a little, messed up, but for the sake of this, I think it'll be fine.
Well, I do have a question.
Sure.
Could you explain what's required to make a character sheet? Because I guess the experience I've had in the past is that I've overcomplicated what I thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you need. Sometimes it'll just be a turnaround where you'll do a front view, side view, 3/4 view, and a back view. And then sometimes they want to see the character in motion, so you do something like this where you're just making some poses. We'll do a couple more poses in a second, and maybe some expressions as well.
Right.
And then that just helps the animators see what the hell's going on and be able to know exactly what's going on when they draw a character in a different angle.
Right.
But this just does not have to be the final word. So you don't have the pressure that this is necessarily a finished piece, right?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Right. And this sort of thing is more. It's more for internal. The internal use. So just showing. What the character is like. What it looks like.
Exactly.
To unify among all the animators that are going to be working on a show, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess a question that I see frequently when it comes to or at least something that I've heard among character designers that work in animation is that people tend to overcomplicate their designs. So they add a lot of pockets or a lot of belts or a lot of swords or something.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're animating, definitely don't do that because it's going to make it way more annoying.
Yeah.
Each of those things you're adding on to it, like hair, cloth, any of that kind of stuff,
right,
is secondary animation. So it's just going to make your job way harder.
It's a strong Gumby.
Yeah, exactly. And that can be cool. There's definitely shows that do it, like Castlevania, something like that, where there's so much cloth and secondary animation, but they allowed for it in the budget.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally I would say don't go overboard with it.
For those of you asking questions in chat, please ask the questions at proko.com/614 so we can actually see them.
Yeah, you can ask them over there, and then we'll go into those.
Cool, sweet.
All right. Before we lose the plot that we've already established, I do need to see what Marshall brought back from the garage.
Bring forth the artifact.
There's 24 by 36, a movie about movie posters. I just found it on YouTube, so it's about an hour and 21 minutes. And it just came out about 5 years ago. And you liked it?
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, really informative.
I am so bummed that I don't have all of my posters. And when I made a move about the time that documentary came out, I don't know what happened to them. I gave some of them away. Some of them are at Fullerton College. But this is one of Drew's movie posters for the Pirates of Penzance.
Crazy.
That's
And
huge.
you can tell that I'm holding it and lifting it up. So you can probably tell that it's pretty big.
Yeah.
And a lot of people hated the movie. Drew hated the movie. For whatever reason, I loved the movie. And there it is. So it's this great, bigger than 24 by 36 movie poster.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. And that's like
And it's-
one full print. It wasn't folded at all either.
Yeah, right. It was, and my cousin Sherry, who used to work at Universal Studios, was able to get these for me. I don't even know whether it was a Universal Studios production, but I had several of his posters. I had that something wicked this way comes poster that David Grove does. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely.
It was of Mr. Dark, and it was really a beautifully done poster. If you look up Something Wicked This Way Comes David Grove, same thing. Great big movie posters. I had a studio at one point where I had those all along an entire wall, and it was exciting. What have you got behind you? What poster is that?
Oh, that's a beautiful poster. The Something the Wicked This Way Comes. Oh, for me,
Is there a way to show it?
that's Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I have all the Lord of the Rings ones. One,
can
2,
we-
and 3.
Can we share a screen that shows Something Wicked This Way Comes so everybody knows what we're talking about, or does everybody just go there?
I can post
it's-
it.
Yeah, it's sort of difficult to find it.
I'm guessing it's this one. Is it like looks like it's a very
It's-
symmetrical piece.
Yeah, and he's standing there.
It's hands outward.
Yeah. That's probably it. But David Grove did that with, he used to work with, I don't remember whether he worked with acrylics or oil paint, but he had a style that was related to another famous illustrator at the time, Bernie Fuchs, Fuchs. That everybody was imitating that style. And it was a beautiful style. They would paint and they'd let some of it show through. They'd scrub some of it away, wash it away with turpentine. And so it left a good deal of the image up to your imagination.
Mhm.
And because it was so rich with the texture of the illustration board underneath it or the canvas underneath it, it abstracted. It made it even further abstract, which was part of the charm of it.
Yeah.
We are not able to show it.
Not easily. I don't
Okay.
think.
Well, I'm going to look up on Google to make sure that we get the right one.
Yeah.
Something Wicked. You know what the?
I put it in the private chat if you can see that.
Okay, yeah. Let me do that.
Yeah, Bernie Fuchs was a master,
So
especially.
you knew, I saw you do a take when I mentioned his name, so you know his his work.
Yeah, his treatment of light, especially. I remember this one specific piece where it's like about these two people at a lake, but they're very tiny in the composition. But you still look at them. Everything else is like these trees with light filtering through, and without context, it might just be abstraction. But in the context, right? Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, that is such a bitchin' poster. Is there a way to? There's got to be a way we can show this.
I can probably pull it up on my screen if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
let me
put
do that.
the link for everybody else though, not just me.
Yeah, let me get it. 1 second.
In the meantime, we can answer a question if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. Oh, this is a bitchin' poster, as you say.
Very bitchin'.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Ooh, extremely bitchin'.
It gets the title of bitchin'.
Yes.
Officially bitching by Marshall Vandroff.
Omega bitchin'.
Before we get to the question, do you know what Something Wicked This Way Comes is from? What the phrase is from was a Ray Bradbury story, but the phrase is the three witches in Macbeth.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Which they're making a new Macbeth movie. I don't know if you saw the trailer.
Yeah. Saw the trailer yesterday. Joel Cohen and black and white and Denzel Washington and
Yeah. Cool. There was a question you said?
There sure is. Is there any hope for the 2D animation industry? It seems like it is completely dominated by 3D films and anime in the last. Yeah. Okay.
The answer is there's no hope.
Stop
Abandon
doing
all
art.
hope. Just give up.
As he does
and,
2D animation.
and that's it. That's it. There's no hope.
I like how you keep it simple.
Yeah. Why overcomplicate it?
May
There's no
I?
hope. That's
That's not true.
Do the other
What are you
do the rest
talking
of us
about?
want to chime
Hope.
in?
Why do you
He's
think
being
I spend my
sarcastic, by
time
the way.
2D animating?
Yeah.
There's no hope.
We got to define like hope for what? Like absolute mainstream dominance? Probably not.
No.
But then again, if you look at things like Spider-Verse or Arcane, that's like a mix of 3D and 2D. So there's a bit of crossover. However, if you want to do strictly 2D art, world building, animation, that there's Ethan Becker just put shared his project with Zach Seacrest and others called Project City, where you can kind of do your own projects and let them flourish as they are, and then have investors see them directly. So is there hope? Yeah, there is hope.
Not only that, even in mainstream 3D animations, a lot of the storyboarding is done in 2D. So like even in 3D productions, you still need a lot of 2D work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as though there's no hope for it. And you don't have to do everything on the scale of Disney and Pixar and that kind of stuff.
If it's not Disney, then it's invalid.
True.
Yeah,
that is the truth.
Yeah. Well, and I think Cuphead and all those.
Why is the person asking the question though? Is it because they're afraid that they're not going to have a career in 2D, or is
I
it
think that's the concern, right? Because
so,
they're spending time doing 2D, and maybe they feel like it's not a valid pursuit. And no, it definitely is. And there's plenty of 2D projects that are coming out.
And people who are doing independent animation with their own channel on YouTube don't seem to be having any trouble with it. In fact, that's the place where 2D is probably going to thrive.
Yeah, I really think that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you can find an audience for your thing, it can quickly gain a lot of steam. Cuphead grew up or
That
blew
is
up pretty
a
quickly.
perfect example of that.
Well, didn't Cuphead look great?
It looked amazing. I'm glad you're aware of it.
Do you think it was bitchin', Marshall?
Yeah, well, I try to vary the words that I can use, and yeah, it was. I don't know what word would you describe Cuphead as? It was
Dank.
Kitchen.
Dank.
Dank is a good word, right?
Yeah, that is a
Yes,
good word.
It's a good word.
Oh, I thought it looked wonderful. I loved those Fleischer Brother animations for the qualities that they had. They had a creepier quality than Disney, but it was such an appealing quality. It was the New York alternative to Disney in the 1930s. And the studio was trouble, but the studio disappeared by 1940, I think, at 41. Do you all know the story of that? I could tell it in a minute.
Go for it.
By all means.
Of course, Disney was the dominating animation studio, but Fleischer Studios, that's Fleischer, for those who want to look it up, did wonderful stuff. They did the Superman ones and Popeye and Betty Boop, and they had a different style that was more like what you see in the underground artists of the 1960s, who were very influenced by them. And because Pinocchio was so impressive and amazing, Disney's Pinocchio is just a great watermark of Disney animation. They had their answer to it, which was called Mr. Bugs Goes to Town. It was later called Hoppity Goes to Town. It's a good animation. It's not as good as Pinocchio, but it's really, really impressive. And they banked everything on that. And it came out the week of the United States entering World War II,
Oh no.
bombing of Pearl Harbor.
Sag.
So it not only killed the movie, it killed the studio. They didn't survive after that. Sorry to bring in a sad note like that.
No.
Brought the energy down there, Marshall.
Yeah.
No, it's
No,
it's a good history.
But the movie still exists, right? Everybody who worked on it is gone, but if you can find it, you can't find it on Blu-ray that I know of, but it is still worth seeing, even if you have to watch it on VHS, as if people could.
Make sure you rewind your VHS when you're done.
Yeah, let's
True, true.
trace back. Where did we go with this? This was about 2D animation. Oh, Cuphead.
Yeah.
Cuphead. The exciting thing about Cuphead is that it's people who love a form, an animation style that is so out of date that no company is ever going to say, we got to revive the 1930s Fleischer Brothers style. No executive is ever going to say that. So you have to have people who are young and energetic and ambitious and talented and who love the style who say, watch us. And then they did it. And I think at one point they were selling gazillions of those things. So they made their living doing what they loved.
That's a perfect example of that. Like, you know, it falls out of fashion, but then, you know, independent studios will pick that sort of thing up.
Yeah.
It's super interesting how, like, obviously World War II might have killed that, you know, studio and that whole line of 2D animation. Yeah, then, like, on the other hand, it also, the end of World War II also gave birth to, like, anime and the revolution of, like, 2D animation in Japan. So it kind of, it's like one
really
ended so the other could begin. And it's kind of a weird through line of it all.
Speed Racer was about when? Was that the 1950s?
I believe so.
Or maybe early 60s.
I believe, well, I know all the early anime was very inspired by, I think, more like that style of animation, you know, the kind of rubber hose kind of, you know, more Betty Boop style of like everything.
Simplified.
And there was like that direct continuation into all that like Astro Boy and all that stuff that came out right after the war.
Yeah. Right. Astro Boy was before Speed Racer, wasn't it?
I believe so.
I don't know this stuff. I know the song. Go Speed Racer, go. Hey, there's 5 of us here. Should we sing?
We could just have a whole singing live stream.
Yeah.
Really?
I can't sing, but I don't know if I feel confident by singing voice.
Hey, it's the holiday spirit.
Yeah.
I probably would not recommend all of us singing at off sync and out of time signatures and
over a live stream with delay and stuff.
Can I ask another important design question, but this time for Marshall?
Oh, okay.
You're off the hook this time, James.
Thank you.
Marshall, I'm very curious about one thing in particular that I've observed over the past few minutes. And that is that you use a coffee mug that is completely devoid of any markings or any branding. And I feel like coffee mugs are like this little point where everyone likes to throw art and design stuff and personality. And as an artist, you've decided to go with the most blank coffee mug. And I'm curious if you had any thoughts on that.
I probably have too many thoughts on it. Let's see if I can be short about it. I don't put bumper stickers on my car. I've never worn a T-shirt with a logo, and I just don't like things written on my coffee mug. I like it so that it's just like just wearing a T-shirt. You know, it's. I don't know.
Is it like that you're so inundated, surrounded by art that it's like you need these other non-art things to like maintain their non-artness, or what do you think it is?
I don't know, but boy, this is getting you're starting to touch things that could get into serious therapy that make us realize there are subversive motives behind it.
Let's get into it.
I don't know, but I do feel uncomfortable if I'm wearing a shirt that has some logo on it. And I think I feel the same way about coffee mugs. But I know that they're expressive. A friend of mine was just showing me on Zoom 2 days ago. He held his coffee mug up and showed how it had Snoopy on top of the doghouse and how important it was that it all could be seen from one point of view and that it wrapped around the edges but not too far. So I know that they are fashion statements, and I guess I'm just left out of it. But thanks for asking.
I have a follow-up question for you, Rob.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you have branded mugs?
No. See, that's the thing. One of the reasons I was asking is because I'm also like to surround myself with art stuff, but I also I don't like putting stickers on my car, like anything like that.
Yeah.
generally I don't like buy clothes. I got this shirt for free. That's the only reason it has any logo on it. But like if I don't get it for free, like I tend not to buy things that are, like have added stuff either. It's like these other things are just meant to be like, a simple plate, a simple thing. Although I find that more recently I've been like trying to almost like consciously break that habit, which sounds weird because I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I've just been like, you know what, maybe I should try to include more unique stuff in just random objects and random things, be more just like chaotic with it. I don't know. It's a weird. I was just wondering what thoughts Marshall had, because it's been something that's kind of sometimes in the back of my mind.
Like a Marshall Vandriff branded mug, or like just,
just that concept in general.
I would buy one of those for sure.
Not wanting not wanting any extra artistry kind of, or just stuff on things.
I'm curious what your opinion is on tattoos.
I don't have any tattoos, and I don't think I'd ever get any.
I was about to bring that up.
And it's very much that same rationale, I think. But there's also a minor other rationale, which maybe gets into why I don't like designs on mugs and things, which is if there's a design on something that I need to use, something that's functional, like your body, a tattoo or whatever, I find that my brain is obsessed with then needing to nitpick it as a design. Like, so if I had a coffee mug, I'd be like, well, this logo could have been improved, or this design could have been like a little hint better. And it becomes a distraction to my, what I want.
Like tattoos.
Safe zone.
I like the tattoos for the opposite reason, which is I think they force you to be decisive, where it's like, okay, get out of that mode of nitpicking everything and just go get tattoos.
And let go.
That's I kind of love. That's what I mean by I've been trying to figure out if it's something that I should be just throwing away, or if there's a healthiness to it, or what. I don't know.
Could I give you a tattoo? Could I do that?
Marshall, do you have any tattoos, or what's your take on that? I don't have any.
I don't have any tattoos, and I have no inclination toward it. But I love tattoo artists, and I'm interested in tattoos as a phenomenon. It's just I don't have any. It's like the coffee mug thing and the T-shirt thing. I just don't have any inclination. I don't know. There may be something missing in me that should want that kind of thing, because I can see why tattoos, which are a logo on your body, or a decoration on your body, or a statement on your body,
an expression,
a tribal connection. I can see the value of that. It's just, again, I'm missing something.
I think seeing value in it, or needing to see value in it, letting go of that is part of getting it. You know what I mean? It's like being able to let go of this need to be. Does that make sense?
No, I lost you in there.
Okay, so imagine like, okay, well, I need a purpose for that mug to have a logo there.
Yeah.
Or it has to have a function. Or if I'm going to get a tattoo here, it's got to have a very specific function, and it needs to be valuable in a special way. And if not, then it's not welcome here. Same thing with the mug or T-shirt, which I'm actually kind of in the same mindset. But I also think that letting go of that is a courageous act in relinquishing control of needing to be in control of everything. So in a way, like, it's like I'm going to be okay with whatever comes my way in the universe, in a way, if that, as an artist. And so letting that manifest as artwork on you is sort of you kind of like embracing, I guess, self-expression without needing to have absolute full control of everything.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm being talked into now getting a tattoo.
There you go.
Well, don't get me wrong, I don't have any tattoos, and
no, I know, but the way we talk about it, and like, I find this topic very interesting in like so many weird levels. But
then let's carry through with it. Let's make sure people are interested in this. But if you guys want to keep talking about tattoos and logos,
I think it's
and
interesting.
Kind of stuff.
animation, huh? Yeah, right. Cool. You have stills and in betweens, I guess.
Do you know much about heralds? Heralds.
People who herald things.
The kind of things like
Oh,
like a crest,
coats of arms and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got sort of obsessed with these. I collected books on them, and I was questioning, why are you so obsessed with heralds when you don't really care that much about your family history and you're not a warrior? And these are essentially shields and coats of arms, coats of weaponry and that kind of thing. But I recognize that a lot of what I love about them is their design. They are wonderful graphic designs, and they go back hundreds of years. And one of the reasons they evolved is that it used to be that long ago, when people fought battles, they fought battles without armor. And so you could see there's Ed, there's Joe, there's Ahmed, there's Robert. You could just, who it was in battle. But as soon as armor came in and you started to have to cover your body proportions, cover your head, you would not know whether it was one person or another. And so there was emblazoning things, putting logos on things. It's like football uniforms that are colored and have a name on. You can see who is who and which side which team that person's on.
So kind of tribal mark of, hey, I'm with, the Fire Nation or whatever.
Yeah. And there's much more to it than that. But
of course,
it's an identity thing. You mentioned the word expressive. It's an expressivity thing, and it's a family history thing. That these are our animals. These are our weapons. These are our turf. These are our what our landscapes are like, and they are just endlessly fascinating. I didn't pursue them as much as I want to, but in the expressive drawing class, one project was mandalas or mandalas. I know people do them too, because designing within a circle gives you an opportunity to do just unlimited creative things with your thought about how horizontals and verticals, about spirals that go in, about things that radiate out from the center, about things that enclose with other things. So it's great for organizing thought within circles, but also decorations within circles. Circles automatically unify things. So that was one assignment in expressive drawing that we've done for a while. And I just recently added heralds. And the next thing we're going to add is crowns. Because crowns are another thing that have this history, and there is so much to them for their meaning. They are akin to tattoos and logos on mugs. All of this stuff is imagery, and simplified imagery. Typically it has to be simplified if it's going to be one icon that says it all of who we are and what's important to us. And this brings up the subject of NFTs, which I see that there's fighting going on.
Yeah, I saw a bit of argument, so I'm like, hey, let's keep this out of the chat, please.
Somebody said to ask cynics about capitalism and see what happens.
No, we're good. We don't need to get into
I think that you all should not be you should not be yelling at each other with words in the chat about NFTs. I think you need to get out shields and swords, and you need to start really taking this into a legitimate fighting arena to the death over whether you're going to do it.
I like where this is going.
Yeah, words are bad.
It's funny because even man, why do I sound like the biggest weeb in the world? Even like in Japan, like they had that big rise in like samurai armor and all that stuff, and they were all like very distinctive to the individual, like passed on by families. But one thing that would happen was, because they were so distinctive individually, that no one knew who was on any side in a battle. So most samurai armors have a big flag, in the back, a vertical flag. That's like the pinion of like, hey, I'm on this side, or hey, you're on that side. And it became like this, you always see those in like old samurai armors where they just have that big flag. That's just like, hey, this is my side. And I'm always thinking about like, anytime I see a sign of any sort or something like that, it always makes me think about that, like how, there must have been that time where people all decided collectively, oh, we need a sign here, or we need this thing. So I just imagine the battles that were fought where it was just people just like fighting and then being like, wait a minute, we're on the same side, aren't we? Like, hold on. I just killed like 5 guys on my side. Hold on. Are you friendly fire? Are you on? Like this awkward, like, do you want to fight? Like, kind of interesting thing. But I don't know. It just made me think of that too.
Yeah. Great silhouette when they're
in a way. This screen, James' screen is a logo. It's got Proko logo in the upper corner. It had that. It just disappeared with the
Press tab.
color wheel.
Oh,
That
yeah, I
color
can bring
wheel
that back.
is, that's a really interesting logo. People would have looked at that a few hundred years ago and wondered what flag it was, what it looked like.
Clip Studio versus Adobe.
Yeah. And in 3D modeling, when you have the different colored lines that can show the scaffolding of things, those can be really interesting imagery that we take for granted because it's so functional. But there's also an aesthetic to it that's fascinating.
Right.
A mandala-esque thing happening. It could extrapolate into a mandala.
Yeah.
Have you done any of that sort of stuff, Med?
Not yet, no. But maybe in the future.
James, I'm curious, if the act of getting tattoos, do you think that made you a more confident artist?
No, I don't think so. I think it just made me have tattoos.
That's reasonable. Yeah.
No, it definitely didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, go on, man.
If I was to get a tattoo, I would also get some sleeves or something.
Yeah.
By some specific artists too.
I think for me, I just like the act of making.
He pointed to himself.
I got you, don't worry.
I had other people in mind, but go ahead, James.
No, I was going to say I like the act of sort of making a decision and then committing to it. So, even going to school before pursuing art, like I didn't know if I was going to like it or not, but I just said, screw it. Let's just try this out for 5 years and see what happens.
And this is it. You made it.
So, yeah, I don't know. I just like the idea of making that decision. And then my other logic is if I don't like a tattoo, I just have to get more tattoos and then you won't even notice what it looks like. That's my logic.
I've seen some people just black out entire areas that they, regret.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I don't like this tattoo. Let me just black out the whole thing. Which looks cool in and of itself. Yeah. What's up, Kofi in chat? Right. Are there more questions that people have asked in the thing?
There's a bunch of questions in the proko.com
/614. Yeah.
/614.
Yeah. Somebody asked about Marshall's skincare routine.
My
Very
skincare
important.
routine?
Yes.
Are they being sarcastic?
Probably drinking lots of water.
Showers and coconut oil and
Eating well, plenty of sunshine.
5 minutes of sunshine, 10 minutes of sunshine a day, front and back, in the backyard when it's possible.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm told that's the best way to get vitamin D. Isn't that what we understand? Is that just a little bit? But
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
it's dangerous.
Yeah, you have to be careful with sunscreen.
Yeah. I don't think that skincare is something to be talking about in modern day James life.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Especially mine.
Star damage to your skin makes it feel better.
People got upset about the barefoot thing. There was one guy who said he tuned out of the Draftsman podcast because I was barefoot.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah, that was like in the first season when I used to be daring enough to be barefoot. If I go barefoot along, you guys go barefoot?
I'm barefoot
but I
right now,
tuned
so-
into the
barefoot right now,
podcast
too.
just for that.
Yeah.
That was my main reason for watching, personally.
I'm so glad. Finally, I found you, Robert.
Right.
I have a multiple part question from Adrian Tamala. That's pretty
Okay.
interesting. What are your favorite metal bands and genres? That's the first question.
Very, very important. Well,
It's
what are
really
the two
the following
questions?
two questions. Do you want to know the other two?
Yeah,
before
yeah.
answering that one?
Let's hear all the parts first.
Okay. What was your favorite metal bands and genres? Did making music influence your art? Did art have any influence on your music?
Favorite metal bands are Dillinger, Escape Plan, and Meshuggah.
Say that again. What did you say, Meshuggah?
Yes, Meshuggah.
That's a Yiddish term.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's where the name comes from.
Okay.
They're very they're a popular metal band. They're from I think they're from Sweden. I don't think music has really had so much an influence on my on making music, but I think the other way is true, because like I think I used to have this idea that if you just keep adding notes to songs, they become more technical and that makes them better. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So I think doing art and kind of realizing the value of simplicity has helped me like simplify my music more.
Say these bands again. Meshuggah is from Sweden. What was the other?
The Dillinger Escape Plan.
Dillinger Escape Plan.
I don't think you'll like either of them.
Marshall, are you into metal?
No, I'm not. But there's some metal I've listened to that I thought was great.
Yeah.
But I'm not into it. I'm on the outside of it. But wait, if you're telling me that you like Dillinger Escape Plan and Meshuggah, I want to know what they are.
Well, there we go.
Dillinger Escape Plan is like the jazz of metal in some ways.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Like almost like chaotically breaking the normal fabric of, you know, melodic rhythm and that stuff, and just being super experimental.
The jazz of metal says.
That's their new branding that I just made up for them.
I'm wondering, not just metal, but music in general, if you have a visual sense of art and symmetry and asymmetry, shape, design, flow, can you apply that to how, you know, music sheets will look, and seeing how that would influence the sound as well, in terms of like rhythm, spacing? Like if it looks good, does it also sound good? You know what I mean?
Hey, Ahmed, I have a thought about that.
Yeah.
And I've been experimenting with it, but in doing voiceover recording, when you look at the in Audacity, I work in Audacity. I know it's the cheap and free, but sometimes when you do a take, you can look at the waveform and say it sucks because it looks like bad spider webs. It looks disjointed. And there are other times when you can look at it and you say, as a horizontal graphic design, it looks nice. It builds. There is something between the one and the other. It's a graphic representation of a
vibrations,
an audio phenomenon. Yeah. But I don't know how much further to go with it than that. I know that when composers look over their sheet music, they get ideas sometimes. There should be more notes here.
Well, I imagine in the same way, if we see a painting that's just a repetition of the same shape over and over without any variation, the same feeling would be there with musical notes, especially if those same notes aren't varying in intensity or pitch or anything like that. So
yeah,
I think so much of that, like there is a huge amount of overlap there. You probably could represent it visually. I'm not sure that I would be able to interpret the difference, but yeah, there's so many things. There's so many overlaps between music and art that way, where it's like repeated themes, things coming back to surprise you, all that kind of stuff.
Someone in chat asked if there are any Tool fans. All right, let me just take the next 20 minutes and describe. I'm kidding.
Are you big Tool fans?
Yeah, definitely favorite band. I'm actually going to go see them in January in LA with Cynics, and then again in March. With James here in Ohio. So it'll be
That's
great.
how big of a Tool fan you are.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the visual and aural thing.
Yeah.
What was the question that started it?
It was like, if you have a good sense of visual language, shape, design, spacing, rhythm, repetition, does that translate, directly or at all? And I think James answered this, to how good something could sound.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I do know that the relationship between, you think about Jimmy Page was going to be he was thinking of being an artist first, and Paul McCartney, pursued doing his own paintings. And whatever people think of them, it's really common that musicians want to do art and artists want to do music, and they're so related. But yeah, if more comes up on that, there's the relationship between the two of them, imagery and sound. I think it's a really interesting thing, and to see how one can be made better by way of another.
Yeah. And how listening to something can inspire visuals in your head or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, even so, which brings another element, which is time, and that's where drawing meets motion, so animation, which is what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if because you've seen those, like, what was it, the Edward Muybridge shots of like a horse running or something like that. You can kind of plot with keyframes as to where those things happen. And so if you were to emphasize a shape design that's really big, really small, and then a tiny, so it's like a big kind of squishing, I guess, big, medium, small, but more with an emphasis, that's stylization. If you were to move those keyframes to also do that, will it kind of carry on a similar like stylistic aesthetic, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. You're basically saying small, medium, and large in terms of the movements as well. Is that kind of what? Am I getting the right idea? Or
yeah, or even like between the, let's say, the anchor points of a movement, like let's say like you go from here to there, to move those keyframes in such a way so that you know it's not equally paced, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's definitely something that you have to do.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, because if it's all evenly paced, it's generally kind of boring looking. So it's a lot of that slowing down and acceleration and that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay.
That was such a good segue, by the way. I was so proud of you, Med, when you did that. When you tied in the time thing to back to drawing and then led that to animation.
We're really proud of you.
I feel like you're being condescending.
I know. I was
I agree
like,
with
I
you.
know where
No,
he's
no,
going,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm
for sure.
genuinely impressed because I didn't even think of that yet.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, I love it. I love the combination of talking about art and music. I mean, in my opinion, design theory is universal through all of them. So you're dealing with things like, you know, tensions and rhythm and all of that stuff, regardless. And it's kind of interesting because art is just this, you know, almost, it's how to deal with all the design theories in this two-dimensional kind of plane.
Right.
And then music is just dealing with all of those things, but instead of any kind of plane like that, it's dealing with it on like that, you know, musical like time plane, basically fourth dimensional. It's just time. It's just design theory with time, like,
Exactly.
and none of the visual stuff. And then animation is the combination of, you know, the time plus the visual, and it's kind of, you know, brings them back around. But I'm sure the design theory for all of them, at least in my head, I'm sure it's the exact same, kind of universally.
Thanks for noticing, Rob.
Hey, what James is working on, this guy running.
Yes.
When I know that we're talking, and yet I'm seeing you make some decisions about how to put one portion of a fold in front of another, and then you change your mind and say, no, I'm going to make the other line cover up that one and put that part in front. Is it distracting when we're talking and you're doing this?
You can distract me. I'm definitely slightly distracted, but it, you know, I feel like I'm definitely not doing my best, but that is, I'd rather have the distractions because I'm glad.
When you had this guy running, you were doing that drawing while we were talking, right?
Yes.
And so you've got his right leg out there really forward and his left leg back, and his right arm is put, and he's carrying, is he carrying a something like a ball?
He's actually carrying this tube with a baby in it. It's very weird.
Oh, okay.
Death Stranding.
Yeah, it's Death Stranding. It's a very strange video game, but I'm a big fan of it.
Okay.
Walking simulator, I suppose. I've never played it.
It's
how much thought, when you're putting him in that position, how much thought are you giving to his pose? Because he really does look like he's in motion, and he's got a trailing leg and a leading leg, and the twist of his torso that goes the opposite above. Is this stuff that you've assimilated from?
Yeah, especially from doing the animations. Like, you can kind of see, you get used to figuring, like, especially run cycles and walk cycles. There's very just generic poses. So this is just a contact pose essentially, where the opposite leg is forward as the opposite arm.
Yeah.
And there's that twist on the torso. So even if you're just wanting to draw in, you know, 2D, or sorry, you don't even want to do animation, I find it super helpful just to think of poses in terms of a, you know, think of them as part of a sequence of time.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of choose, and especially with run cycles, there's very specific poses. So you have your contacts and your other contact. then you have your passing pose, which is the arms are kind of right at the side. And yeah, we'll go into this more after once I start animating.
Okay, well, when for example, while you got that up there, on the shoulder on our left, when his shoulder comes forward, will there come a point where you'll pay even attention to that thing that's on his shoulder, that pad that's on his shoulder, that when he's at the maximum forward thrust of it, that it sort of keeps going, it has secondary movement or trailing movement, follow through, and then when he yanks back, it sort of drags. Would you be that sophisticated with it?
It depends. I wasn't planning on it, but I was going to give him hair that had secondary motion like that, but the shoulder pad, I was just going to keep it in place, because the way I think about it is each time you do one of those secondary motions, it's adding a lot of extra time to the process of making the animation. So
It might not be important.
Yeah, it would definitely look really cool, but it's more of like I found, because I did one animation where I had a lot of cloth, a lot of hair, and all this. There was way too much secondary motion going on, and then it just became distracting.
Yeah.
So I have found that limiting it can be important, especially when it's only for a frame. Like, especially at this speed, it's kind of moving pretty quickly.
Yeah, it makes sense. It would be too much. It would be overkill.
But I love watching anime and going frame by frame and seeing, compared to like the Disney animation where there's just, it's all on ones and there's just so many drawings. With anime, it's like just the essential key poses and a couple of in-betweens. It's very, very limited in the way they do it. It's really, really efficient.
Yeah. The other nice thing about not worrying about all those individual parts is that it provides you with this kind of almost lower contrast of everything. But then where if you did want to make it like a sudden stop and like he did make them move with the momentum, like then it would pop the contrast of like everything you've been looking at and then be like, oh, like it just gives you that heightened sense of action and everything.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Climactic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can justify being lazy.
Yeah, which is,
So,
I'm always looking for that.
two things. It's funny. People are like, "Where's Steven Zapata?" And someone said he's transcending reality as we speak.
He's transcended to the fourth dimension.
Second thing. So your take on Arcane?
Oh, I really liked it. I thought it was amazing. There were some cheesy elements that are not my style. Namely the use of Imagine Dragons in any capacity whatsoever.
It should have been Meshuggah.
It would have been much better. But the animation's fucking cool. Oh, I don't know if I can curse on here, but I just did.
They're good.
We lost Marshall.
But it's incredible.
Yeah, I loved it.
I was going to ask you guys about Cowboy Bebop, because I've never seen it, but it's a show that is very closely tied to the music of it, right?
Wait, the
original.
new Netflix,
I assume you're talking about the original.
Yeah, the original.
Oh yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah,
it's my favorite show. I was just watching it yesterday.
One of the best intros of all animes.
Yeah.
They actually played a song from Cowboy, like the original animation, on the radio last night, and I was just like, "What? It's transcended. It's on the radio."
Oh shit!
Crazy.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
I'm curious if Marshall has seen it.
Not going to answer you.
I didn't mind.
Well, he's not here right now. Do you know if Marshall? Like, you would probably know him best, Christian. Maybe I don't know.
Let's just wait for him.
Does he watch anime stuff at all?
I think Cowboy Bebop has transcended just being anime. You know, it seems like a pop culture icon at this point.
I will tell you this: when I was younger and the Knocking on Heaven's Door, that Cowboy Bebop movie came out. They released it in theaters at one theater, and I was still like a teenager, and I begged my dad. I was like, "Dad, do you want to go see this?" And he was like, he's never watched anime, no idea, and I'm like kind of wondering what his brain was thinking the whole time watching this. But I think he liked it, but it definitely he still didn't react to it like in the same sense that like I was just like, "Look at the animation,"
Yeah.
Marshall, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah. I saw Cowboy Bebop many years ago when it was like only were they seasons?
I think it's only one season or two seasons.
Yeah, it was back when it was had only been around for about a year. And I was very impressed.
Yeah, this was good.
It's so you mean there's only 2 seasons of it that it was done and it hasn't continued?
I think there's a
Yeah,
movie.
the
as
original
well.
anime I think was only 2 seasons.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
has there been
like
more since?
26 episodes or whatever.
I just kind of figured that it continued to this day.
Oh no, that's like One Piece or Naruto or something.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Students sat me down to watch it in class. Actually, it was in a martial art class.
Marshall, did you by chance see Arcane?
No, I don't even know what Arcane is.
Oh, it's a a brilliant animation adaptation from the lore of League of Legends, which I've never played the game, but it, even my dad likes it, so he's not into animation or anything like that or games. So for him to be like, wow, this is really great. It's got great story, great animation, great visuals. It's very tragic and Shakespearean in a way. They did an amazing job.
So it's an animation series.
Yeah, there's one season out, and it's by Riot Games and Fortiche Studio, which is an animation studio in France, and blown away, actually speechless.
Okay. Well, everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
It did have Imagine Dragons in it though, so definitely gets some points away.
I don't mind them, if you're
they
just
well, here's my issue with them is they remind me of a band of people in their 40s that were like, what do Zoomers want to listen to?
Yeah, true, for sure.
Would Oasis be worse than Imagine Dragons?
No.
Oh, wow, crazy.
I don't know, if you're just relaxed enough and you don't care about things, it's just another.
Yeah,
No,
I think the song, the Imagine Dragon, it's a good song. I understand your feeling though that it's like there is only one band that like every game studio goes to for like every like anytime they're announced, like they're a little bit so homogenized of just like Imagine Dragons, that's perfect. It's the perfect thing for this generation. We sell everything to them with this one.
It just sounds like it's so what do they call that? Not beta testing.
Market
Group.
Yeah, market tested. It's like I don't know who that music's for. It's like the uncanny valley of music, in my opinion.
Oh, I could see that, yeah. But at the same time, like when I was 14 or 13, I loved Phantom Menace. So it's like there's certain elements in their music tied in with League of Legends that young kids are like, this is it.
Yeah,
They don't know what gent is.
You don't
I'm
understand
fully aware that my
like
musical
anymore.
tastes.
You're just a boomer now.
Yeah. Well, and my musical tastes are not what everybody wants to hear, so I'm fully aware of that.
Don't worry, it's the kids who are wrong.
It's really all their fault.
Oh man. But yeah, back to the animation in Arcane. I really loved the mixing of 2D and 3D. So that the 3D models are clearly there, but the textures are painted in such a way that it looks like a painting. So
and all the effects and everything are 2D,
oh yeah,
so it's really, really cool.
And the backgrounds also were just 2D paintings, depending on the angle. So that was really cool. Made me want to make something. So.
Yeah, it's really, really awesome.
I like watching you draw, James.
Oh, thank you.
It goes from the loosest, roughest, unself-conscious exploration to clean lines.
I kind of had to adopt that definitely for the project I'm working on. It's just so many. I'm doing a graphic novel, so it's so many pages, and so I go in really loose, just like a complete mess, and then the finish of it is, very, very tight. So I like going in there really loose at first.
Yeah,
but I am a little self-conscious about it though. But
how do you mean because you're on camera and we're watching and talking about it and such?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
but it's just one of those things.
I think Steve Martin said something about if you want to get good at something fast, do it in front of an audience.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
James, how would you say that character design for animation is different from character design for live action?
Well, I don't know about for live action. I know for video games, you definitely want to use a lot less detail. And to me, for like animation versus video games, it feels like stripping down or stripping out a lot of the detail information. Probably the same applies to live action as well, because you can just build a costume or make a costume and then put that on. And you notice that, or you can see that if you look at the costume designs for any of the Marvel stuff, very detail oriented. I would imagine that like the main graphic shapes is probably a similar a similar idea to animation design, just like filling up those spaces more.
Right.
It's pretty cool to see how quickly you went from loose to like a solid. I mean, Marshall pointed this out, but solid, clean design and filled in, ready to, I guess.
Yeah.
paint.
It didn't feel very quick on my end, but I'm glad it felt quick to you guys.
Cool.
You're a good influence on your viewers of rough to clean.
Well, that actually started because Med explained to me that you got to loosen up.
That was
So
a decade ago.
No, that was 3 years ago, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've done a decade's worth of work since.
Yeah. But I love the idea, of starting loose. It just like completely transformed the way that I draw. And you can do it traditionally. Just get out a Copic marker, get out a colored pencil, whatever. It's like, just start loose. Makes me, it's fun. It feels like drawing like when I was a kid.
I'm a total noob when it comes to animation. So if I wanted to start making some fun little animations to explore, but I don't want to pay for TV Paint, what would you recommend?
I would say you can do it on Photoshop or Clip Studio. There's just the timeline feature.
Procreate.
Or Procreate has it. You can use, honestly, you can download free trials.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Things that works. What else? I'm pretty sure there's a actually the one that Cynics used in one of your animation videos a while back.
Oh yeah, very outdated, but
it still works though.
Completely free plastic animation paper 4.0 or whatever from like the 90s.
Yeah, that's actually what I started with.
Yeah, it's a program that is not in English at all, so you just have to kind of figure out what all the buttons do. But once you figure it out, it's very effective.
How do you feel about what is it, Spine or Spline? It's where you can kind of rig 2D.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's really useful for what it's done for, especially like a lot of Western animations.
Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, exactly. I personally don't want to do that, but I think it's really, really valuable for that.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm just the type of person where it's like I want to have full control of how the thing looks, and I feel like when you're using I think they're called spines or something, I don't exactly know, but when you're using a 2D rig, it's like it's not fun at all, for me at least, and that's probably the biggest holdup. Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to do something where I get to draw all the time.
Good thinking.
Has your graphic novel work helped you with your animation stuff?
Yeah, definitely. And coming up with like compositions and stuff and storytelling, it's been really valuable for that. It's also been very stressful, but in a good way.
Would you recommend that somebody learn through making their own project?
Yeah, 100%. That's like, I think that's the best way to learn. And I'm guilty of not doing that for a very long time. Not that I regret the way I went about things, but I think it's kind of a stupid way of going about things, because like you get that experience by doing and making projects.
Right. Yeah. And you find out what you actually genuinely like to draw.
Exactly. And you find out what you don't know.
Process of elimination as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, James, I want to ask some questions about the decisions you've been making in the last minute.
Sure.
Putting these straps that are holding that thing tight to him. which when you put it in and then you put the
cast shadow under there.
Yeah, and also the binding around the back part of it. How much of that was functional for this guy holding it strong to his back, and how much of it was that you wanted something that was a design element, almost like speed lines coming out of his back, like he'd been rocketed down?
It's definitely a design from the game, so I don't want to take any credit for it.
Okay. That was already decided then in a previous.
Yeah, that was already decided. Okay. And the game is so much about like weight capacity and how much the cargo is weighing on the character.
Yeah.
But the decision to do the sort of cast shadowing effects is, or that's all just stylistic stuff from how I like to go about things.
Yeah, and it thickens it up.
Yeah, it also tells you how far away that is, and it makes it feel a little bit more functional.
Yeah, and each one of those dark marks that you're putting in there, that are like dark ciphers, are like really strong, like a bass drum beat or a really thwack at the bass guitar string that asserts itself so much that it becomes a design element.
Yeah, I think in general, if you have, it's kind of the same thing with tattoos we were talking about earlier, which is, it to me, I think art looks really cool when the shapes are very decisive. Mm-hmm. So I think the thick cast shadows are really a good way to say like, oh, I wanted to put that shape there. It's also easy to do it digitally because you can just erase it. So it's really not that competent, but it just, it feigns confidence in a sense.
I'm making a note. Shapes, ... decisive, exclamation point. It's a great term. It means that it didn't happen by accident or that it missed your awareness.
I think so. I think, yeah, especially with something with clean line work, and you don't have much to work with, like this type of drawing, you don't have too much detail to work with. So it kind of have to be decisive about what things you like in it.
Yeah. Especially triangular shapes, the most decisive of all the shapes.
There you go.
Is it? Do you feel that way? That triangular?
Yeah, I agree.
Triangular, the most decisive. Yeah, because they're so assertive. They've got sharp edges. They're like knives. You better know that they're in there.
It's that most basic form of like how you can cover an area in the simplest ways with a triangle, because it's the simplest of the space covering forms. So you see that in composition, in everything. It's just the triangle is like the basis for the really simplicity of covering area.
I think I've sort of passively picked up on that, but never really understood why. That is really interesting.
I was writing while the last thing you said. Do you mind repeating it? The one that James just
triangles. Cynics, you were saying something about triangles requiring less space to define something.
Less space. That's yeah.
Well, just that they're the simplest way to define a set amount of two-dimensional space.
Oh, okay.
So in that sense, that's why they, like, most design theory in general is built on the clarity of comfort and simplicity. So it's all about this, like, you want the viewer to feel like they understand things in the simplest way. So the simplest shape to cover a space might be a triangle. Therefore, put all the pieces together, the simplest best shape for just doing stuff. It's in some aspect a triangle.
I also noticed that, like,
cornerstone of composition.
Yeah, I also noticed that, like, when people don't make decisions about stuff, they sort of default to circles for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why that is, but
they're the least decisive shape.
There you go. Here,
I know the pieces fit.
What's the second most decisive shape?
Wow, that is really interesting. Circles are so natural.
Yeah,
it's usually the first thing a kid draws.
Yeah, I don't draw any circles. I don't think.
The least decisive, because they're so natural.
They are also the most easiest way to make a to make a shape that covers space, comes back to itself. because triangles, once again, when you're a kid, triangles are that's a decision you're making every time you turn it.
Turn a corner.
But if
Wow.
you're just if your whole goal is just get back to this cover space, then it's going to be a circle.
Safe. The circle is safe.
Yes, but it's also generally undecisive and a little ambiguous.
Kirby, Totoro, and Snorlax would like to have a word with you.
Well, I think Totoro he's circular, but there's
some triangles.
Yeah, but there's also it's more oblong and there's direction to it.
Fine, Jigglypuff.
Yeah, Jigglypuff is just played straight up circle. But there's always exceptions to that. I've seen plenty of people that draw with a lot of circles and they're really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
there's no one right shape. We're just
Yeah.
talking about, let's say, mathematics and how things could be simplified in conveying things.
just talking about how nerds draw art.
Yeah.
Well, first you start with the three-body problem. You see, orbital
to go back
mechanics.
to why it's good for what he's doing. It's using triangles is kind of the in a visual abstract sense, it's the low contrast way to cover space, so that if you do have to do something interesting like the silhouette, which matters, like you're not just going to make the silhouette just a triangle, you can have all these interesting shapes, but then you fill in the silhouette with these shapes of minimal kind of structure and this simplicity, and then they don't distract from you get to choose what's important and what's not.
And the anchors of maybe triangular decisions create, I guess, like you said, a decisive point to say it's not smooth, it's not circular. We're going here. We're going to turn away.
They are information, like in the most low contrast but effective way of just like this is the bare bones of the information.
Very cool.
That's design theory right there.
It is. Good old design.
Yeah, this is very useful. And is this stuff that James is the one who mentioned most decisive, and then Robert, you elaborated on the business of making the comparisons. Is this stuff that came out of your conversations, or is it?
No, I don't think so. I think it just happened. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of maybe it's just something we've sort of stumbled upon.
Yeah.
I think there's a universal aspect of design theory that we both worship at the altar of, you could say.
But universal design theory, when it gets articulated, can get articulated in different ways. I've never heard anybody use that term before. Yesterday with Christina, the adoration of Molly Bang's book and how much she has in there was a big part of our conversation at one point. And I've never heard anybody use these terms about triangles and circles in this way, but this is worth playing with. There's something related to modeling in 3D, isn't there? Modeling with triangular polygons?
Yeah, there might. Yeah, I think there is.
Yeah.
I give people the exercise. I don't have any students anymore, but my last student, I gave him the exercise. I was like, just draw this character completely in triangles and just see what happens.
Wow.
And no other shape. And I think it works. It sort of gets you out of that mindset of not really choosing what shapes to use.
Cool.
And those are just intuitive triangles. It's not where you're really naming them as isosceles triangles or anything like that to get them familiar with technical terms. It's just this is aesthetics. Yeah,
just aesthetics. I don't think being too strict about anything is valuable in art. I think most of my improvements have come from putting a little less pressure in that regard.
Yeah, you might be underestimating the role, though, of the hard work of quantifying.
Oh, yeah.
You've done it.
Yes.
When you teach, you do it. And then once you assimilate it, you start to take it for granted. It becomes subconscious. I remember asking writers about how they would do their craft, how they would do their story craft, and they'd give me answers that were just useless.
Fair.
It was like you ask a musician who's a successful musician, you have any advice for me? And I think there was a character that Robert Duvall played. All the advice you get is, got to play it like you feel it.
Yeah, no, that's true.
All you're going to get. So, yeah, thank you. Well, okay, that is valuable advice. It didn't have anything to do with how to practice your instrument.
For drawing, just learn ellipses and then you're good.
Yeah, right. Right. By the time you've learned ellipses, you've done a lot of previous work as foundation.
Yeah, I obviously think all that stuff is super important, and you can just get caught up in that though.
That's right. It becomes an end in itself, which is like, what's the point? The computer can do it better.
Right.
Yeah, I've noticed that in music, there's a lot of that as well. I just like kind of refer to them as theory heads. They're just people that don't write music, but they just know music theory really well, and
Yeah.
that's cool. I just don't think it's.
I'm curious. I'm curious. How do you think somebody gets out of being a theory head? Somebody like when? Yeah.
Well, I was about to give an answer. That's funny.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like we can calculate and quantify things down to colors, values, perspective, vanishing points. There's all these things that are very theory oriented. And you look at Scott Robertson's book, it's a lot of that. Down to like how spirals work with the Fibonacci sequence. There's a lot of theory, right?
Wow.
But then where you come in as a human, and if you're able to use that theory as a tool to kind of express something, then that's where art happens, right? So the music theory heads, as James is referring to them, you know, they can understand time signatures and rhythms and know everything that Dream Theater and Rush has done with polymeters, but like if they want to use that for something, they have to step away from the robotic calculation of it and feel something real, which is very uncomfortable and difficult at first. But if you can reach down and feel something human and then use that tool and express it, then you're kind of creating art rather than theory.
So it seems like the simplest answer is how do you get past it, which was what Christian asked, is to do projects. To just learn while you're working on something, and that way you pull in the theory that you need at the moment. And sometimes the theory will be that you've got to hire someone else who spent a lot of time on understanding that. If you're arranging music for orchestra, you're writing a song and you got a point where you've got to arrange music for orchestra, you got to hire someone else to do it because they're going to know all that stuff.
Yeah.
But project-based learning seems like a way to short circuit the need to overly learn theory.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you spend, 1 month at a design school versus 4 years at design school, even someone at 1 month in could still do a project and convey a story and have something come across. So it's like the 4 years there or under a mentorship or at a school, you're sharpening tools, you're sharpening theory. But I think a lot of it does come out of just, like you said, projects.
Okay, let's apply this to what we're watching James do, because as soon as you put this rim light in here, as soon as you put this warm light that's on a warm form, it's starting to really pop out. And so a question that might help is, did you know all along that you were going to darken his entire silhouette and then pull this light out of it? Or
that is a thing I like to do. I find that it's really good cinematically to do that, because I was doing the opposite for a while, and you can see on these ones I did that, and those I think are good for design sketches, but I find with trying to make things a little more cinematic, starting with the shadows and then working in with the lights tends to be a little bit stronger.
Why did you not put the shadows in right at the very beginning? Why did you not just darken them in as a silhouette and then pull this stuff out?
That would be smart.
Okay, so then this was something
that
you discovered as you went, that you wanted to use this tool.
Yeah, also I just sometimes I just play in the flat colors, and then my lack of color theory brain will just go, okay, I'll put a cool multiply layer on, and then a warm highlight value. Color is definitely something I know very little about. So that's...
Well, isn't it amazing when you darken him in and pull shapes of planes that are facing the light, even when you put that strip along his the pack on his back, how it it becomes dramatic, and it's cartoonized. It's because comic book artists have used it so much.
Yeah.
Where they separate blue and yellow light and make a real bright strip of rim light on things. Spielberg used to use it a lot in his movies. There's something about it that looks impressive, and
it's that decisiveness thing, I think.
Yeah.
Check this out.
You said that's facing this way.
We'll throw him in a movie screen and we'll see what happens.
You know, James, earlier you mentioned that you don't know much about color, which I think you know quite a bit. But if you'd like to know more, I'd like to tell you about Med's map.
Oh, shit. Go for it.
Which will be on Proko very soon, where I teach you how to paint, understand color in a very easy, straightforward way.
Dude.
Nice. Med's map.
Yeah, do it.
It's the world's best painting course.
Thank you.
The mentoring continues.
Highly recommend it.
I'm sure it's all right.
Now you guys are going to see how good I am at backgrounds.
Damn it, Rob. I'm sure it's a great course.
Hey, James, I'm curious. Can I ask a design
You
question?
can ask
Now,
whatever.
When you were doing those highlights, how much? How were you consciously thinking about big, medium, small stuff at all?
A little bit. I don't know if I messed that up.
Well, I know it's just because like I see it in some parts. Maybe you messed it up in a couple of them, but no. For the most part, I was like, I think he's thinking about it. I was trying to analyze the way you were putting down marks and being like, I think he's thinking about it.
It's definitely something I try to think about. But I'm sure, like in the hair, I definitely was thinking about it. Although,
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed you were like, I think he's adding big, medium, small in there.
No, for sure. It seems natural at this point.
Yeah, I was curious how much of it was like you were even like consciously thinking about it, or if you were just like intuiting it.
Right now, I would say I'm like 80% intuition.
Nice.
So definitely could be a little bit better, but just trying to go and keep the stream going.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Now
it's looking very cool.
Going back a little bit to that whole aspect of things like intuiting and being like a theory head and crafting, just kind of being in that side of things. I'm always curious, like, as the value of really focusing on ways to teach these theories when it's like the people you're citing for examples are people that weren't taught it, that just intuited everything. And I'm always thinking like, is there, because I'm always reverse crafting what a lot of professionals do and being like, this is why they're getting these results because of this factor, that factor.
Yeah.
But for them, they haven't consciously, like most professionals aren't consciously, we're even learning these things or aware of these things. Then I'm like, well, is there a big value? Am I giving people a shortcut to like attaining these higher skills, or is there the best way to do it to literally never be even aware of them and just kind of grind it out with time? All right, like, am I giving them a shortcut or not? I never am fully aware. I like to think that I'm giving people.
I think you are. I don't know. I kind of had a realization the other day. Like I've gotten bad haircuts from old men, And the reason I say that is because you would expect somebody who's been cutting hair for 40 years to be really good at cutting hair, But you can't get a bad haircut. And, I think that if there's training along with the effort,
too much.
I think it's a balance. And I think it also depends on the project you're seeking to do. There's so much attention on the Beatles right now, which is exciting. And how they just weren't that musically knowledgeable, but they were so inventive and so creative. But there's also comes up a limit of how much you can do where you need to hire other people who know more about it. So I think it is a balance, and it will be different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch the new documentary, the Peter Jackson Get Back?
I have not watched it, but I intend to watch every bit of the Hulu thing and the Get Back and everything else that's coming out when I have a reason to, which would be to hang out with people for a year to study songwriters and try our own hands at songs. Right now, if I watch those things, it distracts me from what I'm working on.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested, and I'm
I,
very
I,
glad.
I
for
strongly recommend it. I will say that. I think Get Back, the Peter Jackson one, it was like the best insight, into just like the dynamics, but also just the creative process, songwriting stuff. It just makes, at least for me as a viewer, it made me want to like, write songs, do something creative, because it's just fun to watch people's process for that stuff and watch how things slowly like. It's a lot of like, oh, maybe this sound, or maybe we'll say this, and then we'll, it's just like this. It was very just like the way everything just kind of gets pieced together, and with experimentation. And I don't know. I found it super just enjoyable.
Is it? You said Peter Jackson. I know he's a filmmaker. What is the documentary about?
So Peter Jackson took all the old, there's like 60 hours of footage that was recorded by the Beatles, like by a little production company they formed back when they were forming their kind of Let It Be album, Get Back. And they recorded the whole thing, and they've had all this footage, and it was kind of lower quality. Peter Jackson, he like came in and he recut the footage into like basically a documentary. And man, they also used AI to like upscale it to like, super high res. And it looks like it was made like, last week. Like the video quality it's scary how good the like AI post-processing thing is, because it honestly looks indistinguishable from like HD video, which makes it really interesting. But yeah, just the overall like creative process is super valuable.
I'll check it out.
I'm trying to find an excuse to watch it. This last year in the composition class, one of the things that we pursued a bit was relationship of composition of songs. And songs are composed, pictures are composed. As you've mentioned, it's essentially the same principle. It's all the same principles. It's different elements, but it does make sense, though, that to have a full 12 weeks of composition, where you focus for 12 weeks on songwriters and try to apply it to painting, would be a bit overkill for some people. I think some people will say, no, this is supposed to be a picture composition course. But if there comes a point where let's take beginning songwriters and experienced songwriters and people who want to write songs, because anybody can write a song. Children write songs and at varying levels. And then say, let's study great songwriters. The ones that do simple stuff, the ones that do complex stuff, and try our hands at it. That's when it's going to happen for me. I part of me wishes it would happen this year, but I've got other important fish to fry that I'm excited about.
Do you want to tell us about the more important fish?
Oh, well, the first thing is what I promoted it yesterday. This month, this January, I'm on Monday, January 3rd. I'm planning a 1-hour presentation. It might be an hour and a half, for absolute beginners, for people who would ask a question like, do you need to have a formal art education to do freelancing? I'm going to answer those questions and see if I can answer them once and for all. It's as much as anything aimed at families, where there's a young person in the family who's going to make the daring decision. I think I want to be a professional artist, and the whole family tightens up their whole body. Oh, we don't want you to be poor. To take an hour with them to give just the best advice that I've got for that. We're planning on that on Monday, January 3rd. And then after that, we're going into the storytelling lessons from masters, where we'll do 4 really, really entertaining episodes of the first couple seasons of The Simpsons that were really well-crafted stories. And then we're going to do 3 months spread out over 5 months of lessons from Heinrich Klei. Of 1 month, March will be Heinrich Klei as a draftsperson, his knowledge of anatomy and form, and how little rendering and how much rendering he did in all those great pictures. And then we'll take April off. May will be Heinrich Klei as a storyteller, and what his themes were, and most of these are sketchbooks, some of them for illustrations for stories. Then we'll take June off, and then July will be Heinrich Klei as a pen and ink master, a pen master in particular. And that will segue into the expressive drawing courses, composition again, or expressive drawing in the late part of the year. But thank you for asking.
Yeah, yeah, I was curious.
That's my pitch. And those of you who are interested in it, go to martialart.com. That's marshallart.com. And there's a survey, because we still have not decided at the end of the year, end of 2022, what we're going to do. And that survey, we are paying attention to it. The reason I'm doing the story class and the reason I'm doing the Heinrich Klei class is that there was such popular demand for it. People really wanted this. And they wanted anatomy, and they wanted storytelling, and they wanted pen and ink. And so we managed to take the Klei class and fuse it. They wanted the Klei class.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that songwriting does not fit into there really well. And when we find the best professional songwriter teacher who wants to do an online course in 2 or 3 years from now, I want to be one of the students.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. And by the way, all the tying it into songwriting and stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of that. It's very fun.
Heinrich Klei is quite incredible. I think overlooked. Which actually reminds me, how did the Bridgeman course thing go for you?
How did what?
I remember you did that Bridgeman workshop and
the Bridgeman workshop was this last round of it was the most incredible group of students and the most incredible classes I've ever taught. I couldn't believe it. Every Friday, I would tell I felt sheepish telling my Saturday class that my class yesterday was the most incredible thing I've ever had. The amount of work but the thing is, I had, I think, 4 or 5 of my students in my Saturday expressive drawing class were in the Bridgeman class on Friday. So they already know about it. It went great. The amount of work people did each week, I came in there recognizing I'm looking at a collective several hundred hours, many hundreds of hours of work from these students that they have put together for specific things. The Bridgeman course will be out for free in about a month and 2 weeks on YouTube. So my YouTube channel, more people are subscribed to my YouTube channel than I realized. They will, all of the stuff we did for the Bridgeman 2020 course, drawing for Bridgeman, the Bridgeman boot camp, that will be available on YouTube, and it'll be free.
Great.
But thanks for asking for that too.
Yeah, I was curious to see how it went. Very cool. I'm going to check it out. Hey, James, you want to talk to us about that screen grab that you just did? Looks great.
Where I photo bash this amazing background.
Yeah, some people were freaking out in the chat. It's like, that's cheating, which
were they really?
It's not cheating.
Wait,
I think they were being sarcastic. I think by now everybody knows that it's not. Yeah.
Well, as somebody that never does backgrounds and doesn't have to do it, I find every excuse to not do backgrounds.
Nice. But it looks great.
It works because, like, I don't know, when you're under like the production I was on before, like I had to get like 10 of these done in a week. So I don't have time to do backgrounds. It's mostly just about the character. So it was just like, let me just do some scenes and throw in a background so you get a sense of what's going on. Mm-hmm. And even like, I don't know, Attack on Titan's a good example where there's like a lot of just 3D models as your base or your backgrounds. So there's a lot of situations in which you're going to use photos or 3D and whatnot.
So that composition you just did, though, kind of really went from loose sketch to line work to solids to lighting, and now it feels like a shot from a story. And I think you've been able to successfully convey that. Looks great. Actually, our cameras are covering the bottom half of that shot. Could you bring up the image a little bit? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it could be better, but you know, just trying to do the best under the circumstances. But I feel like there needs to be some light over here for some reason. But that idea of throwing in like abstract shapes in the background, I actually got from you. So you do that a lot. I enjoyed it.
I forgot that I was an artist.
Because then, you know, in
I'm just observing right now.
You can just think of the background as abstract shapes and then find some way to justify that later on.
Yeah,
it could even just be like nonsense back here.
Yeah,
you know, and you can experiment with what looks better, right? If it's might even look better if there's more, you know, just seeing the character more or whatnot.
You can literally write your name and zoom in on that and call it a background, and
Yeah, perfect.
no one
There
will
you go.
know. Yeah.
Nice.
That's
It's like
art right there.
Arcane a little bit.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
actually.
2D.
Hey, I'm sorry to cut this short from me, but I do have to get going. This has been a really nice chat with you guys.
Ahmet, it was great to see you.
Oh,
Yeah,
Great having you,
likewise.
man.
good to hear
Yeah,
your
I
insights.
appreciate it.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks Shane, for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and have
Check out
fun.
Ned's map.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks
for
for coming
joining
Ned's
us.
map for sure.
See ya.
Goodbye to you guys, and goodbye, chat. Have a good one. Bye.
Alrighty.
Later, buddy.
So Ahmet's got a Proko course coming out, huh?
No, well, he has his own course. He has
Oh, his
something-
own course. That's his own course. The one that, yeah, he didn't. I thought it already came out.
It did come out, but we're posting it on Proko as well.
Oh, okay. Robert, what are you working on?
Not a whole lot. Just doing. I'm working on a couple. I'm doing a tutorial on skulls in this week. I'm trying to get that up on YouTube, but that's pretty much it.
Exciting.
In between my,
are you enjoying it? You said on skulls.
Yeah, skulls. Want to do a quick little kind of friendly little anatomy tips on how to make your skulls look better, more like skulls.
Will it be as good as your one on hands? Will it be?
I hope so. I know it won't be as popular because not everyone loves to watch people draw hands all day, but yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be good.
I loved your one on hands.
Oh, thank you. Fun. Yeah, it's meant to. All of my things are meant to be like, ideally, just like little hopeful mental reminders that might just help people a little bit when they have to draw from imagination, or if they want to draw from imagination. But obviously, you know, using reference is still a super viable, valuable way to go about things. But there are times where you just want to quickly put stuff together and, you know, don't want to look up references. So it's kind of what I'm aiming for, just helping people with that stuff.
Good.
James, how long would it normally take you to do a character sheet for in like a professional setting?
I think it depends. Like if I didn't have, like if someone gave me a design and then like I had to do a pose sheet, it would be a little bit more challenging. Probably would take most of the week because I'm slow with design. But if it was like, yeah, probably if I was designing something from scratch, probably a week because it takes a little bit of time to figure out, you know, thumbnailing, figuring out what the character looks like, coming up with a cool design. But as far as the posing goes, I feel like I could finish a sheet of like 10 poses in a day or something. That might be slow. I feel like I don't know. I don't usually measure it, or I don't know exactly how much time it takes me for everything, but something around that.
What are you doing now? That it seems like you're going back over this again. What's the goal?
I just wanted to see what it would look like in a just a different lighting scenario, just to see what it would look like.
So,
Just a
can you
regular
define
three-quarter
the
lighting.
other one where you had about 20% of it was direct light on it, and the other 80% was in shadow? Or are you just reversing the proportions?
Exactly. Yeah. Now I'm reversing it, so it's all. This one's prioritizing the lights and just a little bit of shadow.
And this is just out of curiosity, huh?
Yeah. Just wanted to see what it looked like.
I find that ratio in any piece could be a whole composition illustration, but even on characters, that ratio of light to shadow, whether it's, you know, 60-40 or up to like 90-10. I find that when it's much more skewed, like the 90-10 realm, which is kind of closer to that first one, that's what creates that sense of drama, you know?
Yeah.
Drama
Yeah.
in the lighting. This one's a little closer, what, like 60-40, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. It's a little less
A
dynamic.
little more neutral, yeah, a little less dramatic.
Yeah, it's like less dramatic, but maybe you would want to show, like if somebody wanted to look at this and use it for something, like to do an animation, you'd want to have a little bit more information.
Yeah. Now, can I go around and nitpick all your design decisions now?
Please.
Oh, this will be fun.
No. I just
like-
want to point out that when you did the lighting on the hair on the other one, that you kind of like you
Fucked it up.
you on that between your big and what I what you wanted to be a medium shape. You left it with that dark line of shadow.
Oh,
and it
I'll
just
tell you
lines
why
up
I did
so
that.
perfectly with the head that it makes it feel like the hair is translucent and you see through to the skull and the head, and it's just that
Nuts.
line too. It should have been a triangle, and it's just that dark line. It's just ruining my day right
All right,
now.
right. I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm gonna get rid of
That
it.
one right there. Yeah, you know it. You know which one it is.
I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it.
Better. My tangent sync. My tangent sense is tingling, freaking out over here. Don't. It's fine. You know, you don't even need it. You don't need the. You can just use the big and small. Any hierarchy is fine. It doesn't have to be 3. There, you're good. You just leave it. You're fine. You move. Yeah. You're good. Move on. Move on.
All right, we're moving
No,
on.
stop it. Move. Yeah. Yeah.
All
There
right.
you go. Thanks. All right. Perfect.
Have you guys seen West Side Story?
No.
I saw West Side Story yesterday, or at least I tried to. I didn't make it 40 minutes in before I had to leave.
What? It was too offensive, or what do we?
No, it was, I didn't discover Sondheim and Bernstein until the late 1990s, and I really liked some of the songs from West Side Story. And when I saw the 1961 movie, I hated the movie so much it put me off the songs for 20 years. And it's in the last year I've been really interested in those songs again because there's some good songs in there. And when I was about halfway, 40 minutes into the movie, I realized this is so painful for me to watch this movie that I'm afraid it's going to contaminate the songs for another 20 years, and I'll be 83 years old, and I don't want to die without enjoying these songs again. So I had to leave just for the fear of what it was going to damage my.
So you walked out on a Steven.
Yeah, I walked out on it, and I'm sorry I did. He put $100 million into it.
Damn.
No, I think
There's
that's
so much razzle dazzle. But I came home and I listened to Leonard Bernstein. It's been pronounced both ways. Leonard Bernstein conducting Bernstein for the West Side Story dances, which if you don't know those, they're just wonderful. He recorded just orchestral bits. It's about 20 some minutes long. Really, really great orchestral pieces based on those songs. And the writing of some of those, Sondheim was embarrassed by his lyrics. Those were his first Broadway lyrics. And he said he's embarrassed by them. They said they're like baby pictures. You're a baby. It's embarrassing. And I don't know whether you guys know the songs at all or care about them.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely aware of some of them. I agree with you that I think the songs are, at least from what I haven't watched the new thing, but like certainly think the songs are the good part, and the movie is not necessarily the valuable part of the experience, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, 20 years from now, we'll see if somebody else gives it another shot and if third time's a charm.
I was listening to a review of it that loved it, but I kind of got the impression I probably wouldn't like it much. But
was it Justin Chang's review?
No, it was just I don't know. It was some guy on the local, NPR station. But they it was funny because the way they talked about it at the end was that like they were so disappointed that it's doing horribly at the box office that they were like, if you guys don't go, it's your responsibility to go see it, and if you don't go see it, then we're never gonna get intelligent movies for adults to ever get made. I just thought that was so funny, of like almost like you guys all need to watch it even if you don't like it, because then we're not gonna have any good stuff. But if you don't think this is good, then why would you want more of this?
Yeah.
I guess is the big question.
See it out of obligation, right? The New Yorker, I think it was Richard Brady at New Yorker, had just did a scathing review of it. That was so some people loved it, some people hated it. I didn't see it. I didn't sit through it. So, paid my money, didn't ask for a refund. Well,
again.
That would be a bold. I don't have. I never even thought of asking for a refund. Like that would be a bold decision.
You made the investment.
Spielberg.
You got out of the Ponzi scheme in time.
Now we're getting into the animation. I've never.
Yeah, is it these are keyframes of
So I just wanted to do, earlier I was doing this one, which is pretty not dynamic in terms of the camera angle. So I just wanted to see if I could repeat this just with like a really, really crazy camera angle.
oh wow.
Little fisheye lens action. But for some reason my tablet's being weird, but let's just keep going and see. My lines are just going to be messy, but we'll just see how it goes.
That's the whole point, though, is the lines. This is not about the lines. This is about
That's
the
true.
positions of. This is a great influence on everybody watching. There's 538 people watching right now, and 538 people. You hope that a good number of them will say, "I need to, in my initial stages, think this loosely, roughly, simply."
Yeah, if you look at the rough stages of a lot of people's animations, they're really, really messy. And it's awesome.
It's because they know what they're doing.
Yeah, because you don't need it to look good yet. You just
Yeah,
need to-
a person who's concerned with it looking good in the initial stages is putting energy into things that are going to distract them from what you're doing, which is where does the thing land in the frame to make it look like I'm up close to it. That's a hard enough job.
Yeah. Now I feel like the main value is that you've already in your head, you've memorized a walk cycle in terms of like, or a run cycle in terms of like what the body's doing at these different parts of it. You already demonstrated that. It's like you have a set, almost a map of, like if they're forward, this arm's here, this leg here, this torso's twisted like this. And you've kind of already memorized them, which allows you to be super loose. And I think a lot of people will just see this and not realize that you've established that already, like that map of like what the different movements are of the movement, and they'll probably get distracted by like, if when I try to do it, it's like they can't let themselves be loose because they feel like they have nothing to go off of. So it's certainly a nice little extra big part of it is just first memorizing like those frames of a cycle.
Do a lot of walk cycles, a lot of. I don't know if I like this angle though. Let's try a different one.
No, wait. You were using his head as the anchor point, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So the head stays the same size, but and is that over in the lower right there? Is that his foot?
Yeah, it's gonna be his foot in the back.
I sensed it that foot was this tiny little thing back there. So you're simply reversing whatever is close is huge, and whatever is further away is really small.
Yeah, and one of the cheat codes I feel like for this kind of thing, and again, I'm not really doing a great job of it, so it's kind of hard to tell, but just making a frame where whatever it is you have is coming at the camera, and then it just gets very, very large at the camera.
It's what happens with the cameras that we're using. You put something up close to it, it's going to be gigantic.
So try that out. Oh, sorry.
Did you plan to do this from the beginning of the presentation, or is this something that occurred to you while you were working on one single pose for so long that you needed to do this?
I was thinking I was going to do a little bit of animation. I wasn't planning on doing a super dynamic thing because I'm not good at it. Something I've been working on in my own time, but you said you got to do it in front of an audience.
I think it's wonderful that you're doing it. It's recognizably wide angle with such sketchy lines.
It's nice how much just the invention of the camera and that lenses plays such a huge part on what art even looks like and how we kind of approach it these days. Because you think about like before the invention of the camera, like you're never going to see someone represent things with such a sense of foreshortened, craziness or anything, because the world is never even considered in that fashion of just like the way things are zooming past you and stuff like that. So that technology really made a big impact on just the way art looks and the way people think about visuals.
Somebody said, I don't know whether it's true, but I think it is, that it was the skyscraper and human flight. I mean, balloons and jets and airplanes and helicopters that brought in 3-point perspective becoming a real issue. 3-point perspective is just obvious. You look around you look down at anything, you look in your room and you're looking at everything in 3 or 5 or point perspective. But it just was not something people were using until they started to really dramatically look down on big things or look up at big things.
It's probably it's probably something you don't think about as much.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I've noticed that like even where people grow up tends to strongly affect like their sense and their comfort with different types of different ideas in art. Like people that grow up with mountains in the background, like we have here in California, tend to be better at like atmospheric perspective and stuff than people who grew up in the Midwest and like have never just don't see atmospheric perspective in their daily life. Like it's very abstract as like a visual concept. They see it in movies and stuff, but it's not like, you know, brain. And I guess that's probably the same way with like, when people first started growing up around skyscrapers and stuff, that sense of like perspective going not just in these directions, but also that direction is probably a huge part of that.
Yeah, I have a feeling though that all through history, when people have dreamed, that this phenomenon of the wide angle view has affected it at some points, because you figure you have no control, you have no conscious control over your dreams. And so since when you were a baby, somebody gets up close to you and they get really huge, you've imprinted on your brain that can happen. Yeah. So it's
would be, imagine how like amazing that would be to be able to know what like people's dreams, looked like and throughout different periods of history. I feel like that would probably be so insightful.
There was something, I read something years ago about near-death experiences and how they borrow from the metaphors of the age. A bridge over, if you're living in a place where there's bridges over chasms, that will end up that can be one of the metaphors that happens.
Yeah.
How are we doing for time? We're past 2:00.
We are. It's 5 o'clock here.
2 hours and 2 minutes. I'm around to stream for as long as you guys would like to be on for.
Cool. I should probably go. I do have things to do, and I'm also not sure where to go with this.
I loved watching you do it, James. This was really inspiring, fun, educational.
Thank you. I'll definitely continue it off stream and share it with you. It's just one of those things that it's always frustrating, trying something new when you're when you've got 555 people there.
Yeah.
Not always the best move.
By the way, here's something that'd be cool to see you try off stream. Is you can just carry this animation with the head as the anchor point right into the other animation and just have it look like the camera's just almost like moving around them as they're running or something.
Oh yeah, definitely want to do that too. And like as that camera gets closer, then it carries into that next one.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Past it. That'd be awesome.
You seen that pencil test that James Baxter did of the camera going around Scar?
No,
I don't think I have actually.
It's really impressive. I'm sure it's somewhere out there. Just great work, James.
Well, I have to.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's look at all the questions. We didn't answer these questions. I feel like.
Oh yeah. Would you like to do a speed run?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do a speed run of the questions.
Would you like me to ask them, or would you like to?
Could you ask them?
Yeah, sure thing. I will start from I don't think we're going to be able to get through all of them, but
okay.
I can ask a few. Recently purchased Richard Williams' Animation Survival Kit. Is there any other good books that you guys would recommend for studying animation?
I don't have any other books. I think just looking at animations the same way you study anything, just like break it down frame by frame, see what they're doing. I think a good way to start is like, okay, if you've read the walk cycle or run cycle part of Richard Williams's book, then go and see how people, how much variety there is with that, and see what people do with the walk cycle and the run cycle, and how they take certain parts out. And I don't know. I think in general you can learn a lot from studying what other people have done already. I think that's a general rule.
Nice. Do you always use reference, specifically the motion, not a character sheet, when animating? And how many steps forward and back do you let the onion skid go?
I don't generally use onion skin, and I don't always use reference. For that run cycle, I didn't use any reference, but I have nothing against it. For this run pose, I was using reference. I think sometimes it can be stifling. I think it's just like a trade-off with anything. So see what benefits you get from not using reference, see what benefits you get from using reference. The benefit of not using reference is that it becomes intuitive. You're a little bit more free to do whatever you want. You don't feel like, oh, I've got to find the perfect thing. But maybe a good way to work is try to do something without reference, look at reference after, and then maybe make some corrections or study some reference before you even start drawing. That way you've got something to look at.
Cool. Would you recommend getting real good at drawing before starting to animate, or is it better to start while not being that good at drawing?
I think you should just start animating. I don't think you should wait to get good at drawing. It does help in terms of cleaning things up, but I think there's a lot you can gain from even just animating with stick figures.
Cool. Somebody asked to ask you about Polish families. They said it'll be fun.
Wait, what? Oh, for some reason, somebody asked me about Polish families in my live stream, and I was like, why the fuck are you in an art stream asking me about Polish families? I have no concept. Like, I don't even know what's going on with them. So
yeah. Okay, yeah.
So I have the same answer to that.
Cool.
He's
It's
from
not
New
really the
York, not
place.
Chicago.
I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone else has any thoughts on Polish families, but and then I guess a couple more. Sorry, I lost the page.
Somebody here says, do you apply gesture to your drawings? And I think from watching this, you can see there's a lot of gesture in all of this. It's kind of just like a gestural version of the maquette, I guess, is how I would put it. I try to get a little bit of shape design in the loose drawing as well, but just try to keep it energetic and have fun with it.
Cool. How old were each of you guys when you started drawing?
I got really serious about it at 23. I had drawn when I was younger, but it wasn't anything I took seriously or thought I would do professionally in any way.
Yeah, I was like around the same age. Well, when I started getting serious about it, I started kind of dabbling with it, like, after high school. So I was like 19, where I just started experimenting. And then around like 22, 23 is when I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this for a living. I've decided.
Yeah. Marshall, do you have
I was about 11 or 12 that I got really interested in it, but it was another 15 years before I had any real knowledge of what I needed to know.
Yeah. And I guess one more question. How much do you think animation improves drawing from your imagination?
I think a lot, because at least for me, having to start loose with an animation got me in the habit of thinking of poses. So it made it a lot easier. It made it a lot easier. It also made me think of what the character's doing before anything. So it's like, okay, figure out if the character, give yourself a little bit of a prompt, think of that. And it also, I felt like it gave me permission to just make a mess and be okay with it.
Yeah. And I want to add to that just for a moment, because there's a level of like, obviously you develop object permanence as you grow out of being a little kid, but there's a sense of like form permanence that I find animation, like even when I dabbled with it, it made my concept of just form permanence, like actual forms staying consistent in all places, just so much better just by doing animation stuff.
Cool. Well, do you guys have any other closing thoughts?
I'm sweaty. My room is so warm. I don't know what happened.
It's winter there.
That's my thought.
Generated heat with your exertion of creating art.
Yeah, I'm just generating heat via my brain.
Yeah.
Nice. And hand movement.
I would just like to say I've had so much fun. I love all you guys. You guys are great. I love talking to you guys every chance I get.
Nice.
Oh,
It's
thank you,
wonderful.
Robert.
So thank you for having me.
Feel the same
Wait,
way.
Marshall.
Thank you. Thank you, Christian. And thank John Burchell, too.
Yeah, thank you, John
Who's
Burchell.
behind the scenes making
Yes.
all of this happen.
Yeah.
Great, James. Good seeing your
Thank
work.
you.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you
think,
guys
I
for
think-
watching.
Do you want to zoom out on your on the final product? Just to
Oh yeah, let me scroll through. Here's the wonderful butt design, and then our little animation. I didn't do this on stream, but
Yeah.
I did it
Cool.
in anticipation of the stream. So
Nice. Cool. I think we are all set to end then.
thank you everybody for tuning in.
Bye, y'all.
Be sure to subscribe to Cynic's Design
Do.
and the Sketchy Van podcast.
Sketchy Van
And-
Podcast.
Marshall, do you have a YouTube channel?
I do have a YouTube channel, and I don't even know. I don't manage it. I will, but it's you'll find me if you type in my name. in
All
YouTube.
right.
Okay.
Hey, and I hope everybody picks up your perspective course from the 90s, right? Was that in the 90s?
Yeah, it was in the 90s. But yeah, if you just go to martialart.com and subscribe to my email list, that's what you'll hear of anything that's worth telling you about. You'll hear from
There we
me
go.
by way of email. Thank you.